There is someone you have not stopped thinking about, not constantly, not in a way that disrupts every hour, but in that particular quiet that arrives between the noise of your day. They surface, without invitation, without effort on your part, and now they have reappeared, or something in you already senses that they are about to. What you are about to understand will not tell you what to do. It will do something more valuable than that. It will show you what this moment actually means. Because Carl Jung spent his life studying exactly this kind of experience, the return of someone significant, and what he discovered goes far deeper than most people ever realize. This is not about romance. It is not about whether things will work out the way you hope. It is about something happening inside you right now that this reappearance has triggered, something that was waiting for precisely this moment to become visible. Stay with this, because what follows may be the clearest thing you have heard about this situation yet. You did not arrive here by accident. There is a particular kind of person who finds themselves drawn to understanding the deeper mechanics of human connection. Someone who senses that what appears on the surface of a situation is rarely the whole story. Someone whose intuition keeps pulling them toward a meaning they cannot yet fully articulate. That is you. Otherwise, you would not still be here. And the person who has returned to your life, or who has begun to occupy your thoughts with renewed intensity, they are not there by accident either. Jung believed deeply in what he called the principle of synchronicity, the idea that meaningful coincidences are not coincidences at all, that when the inner world and the outer world align, when something you have been processing internally suddenly manifests as an external event, it is the psyche communicating in the only language it truly speaks fluently, the language of experience. This reappearance is that language. It is your psyche arranging the external world to reflect something that needs your attention on the inside. Most people will never understand this. They will see the returning person as simply a person, a choice to be made, a situation to be navigated, a source of hope or of complication, but you are about to see something different. If what you are hearing is reaching something true in you, subscribe and turn on notifications. Every video on this channel is designed to help you understand the hidden forces shaping your inner life and your relationships, the forces most people never learn to read. Carl Jung identified a pattern that runs through virtually every significant human relationship. He called it projection, not in the dismissive way the word is sometimes used, not as an accusation that someone is imagining things, but as a precise psychological description of something that happens automatically, beneath conscious awareness, in every human being. Here is how it works. From the earliest moments of your life, you began developing a sense of who you are, and in that process, certain qualities, certain impulses, emotions, desires, and capacities were deemed unacceptable. Perhaps they were rejected by your caregivers. Perhaps they conflicted with the identity you needed to build to survive your particular environment. Perhaps they simply did not fit the version of yourself that felt safe to inhabit. So those qualities went underground. Jung called this collection of underground material the shadow, and the shadow does not disappear simply because you have stopped acknowledging it. It remains fully alive in the unconscious, fully charged, fully present, and it finds its way into your awareness through other people. When you encounter someone who carries a quality that your shadow holds, a freedom you have suppressed, a depth you have denied, an authenticity you have been afraid to live. Something extraordinary happens. You feel an intensity toward them that exceeds what the situation seems to warrant. You feel seen in a way you cannot explain, or drawn in a way that logic cannot account for, or, sometimes, disturbed in a way that is disproportionate to what they actually said or did. This is projection. The shadow material you have been carrying now has somewhere to land, someone who can hold it for you externally while you slowly work toward integrating it internally. And when a person who has triggered this kind of projection reappears in your life, after time, after distance, after what felt like an ending, the shadow material becomes active again with renewed urgency because it was never finished with this person. It recognized in them something it has been waiting for you to recognize in yourself. Now, consider what is happening inside the person who has returned, because the same process has been occurring for them. From the moment your connection first formed, their unconscious was engaged. Something in you activated their shadow material, qualities they carry but have not integrated, truths about themselves they have been circling without approaching directly. And when they withdrew, when distance formed between you, it was not because the activation stopped. It was because the activation became too uncomfortable to be near. This is one of the most important things to understand about why significant connections sometimes grow quiet. The intensity does not create distance. The inability to metabolize the intensity creates distance. They pulled back not from you, but from what you were making visible in them, from the version of themselves that felt most alive in your presence and most threatening to the structure they had carefully built around a different, a safer version of themselves. So they retreated to the familiar, to routines that did not ask too much, to relationships and roles that confirmed rather than challenged their existing sense of who they were. But here is what retreat cannot accomplish. It cannot undo activation. The shadow material that was stirred in your connection did not go quiet simply because they created distance. It went underground again, but underground does not mean gone. It means operating without supervision, influencing their choices, their restlessness, their quiet sense that something essential is missing, without them being able to clearly name the source. They may have spent months telling themselves they made the right choice, months constructing perfectly reasonable explanations for the distance, months filling their life with enough activity to keep the deeper questions at bay. And then something shifted. Some internal threshold was crossed. Some pressure became too great to keep redirecting. Some quiet voice they had been drowning out grew loud enough, finally, to be heard, and they came back, or they are about to. Not because they have resolved anything, but because the unresolved has become more insistent than the distance they were using to manage it. Jung wrote something that describes this mechanism with extraordinary precision. He said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." Read that again, slowly. The most terrifying thing is not external danger or loss or failure, in the way the world measures failure. The most terrifying thing, the one that causes people to flee from their most meaningful connections, to create distance from the people who see them most clearly, to build elaborate structures of routine and rationalization, is the prospect of fully accepting who they actually are. Because full self-acceptance requires confronting the shadow. It requires acknowledging the desires you have called inappropriate, the emotions you have labeled dangerous, the truths you have hidden behind more acceptable versions of yourself. It requires looking at all of it, not just the parts you are comfortable with, and saying, "This is me." The person who withdrew from your connection was, on some level, terrified of what that connection was requiring of them. Not because you demanded anything, but because genuine resonance between two people creates a kind of internal pressure toward authenticity that cannot be faked or managed away. You reflected something back to them that they were not yet ready to accept in themselves, and now they have returned, which means something has changed in that readiness. Not completely, not without remaining fear, but enough that the pull toward what is real has grown stronger, at least for this moment, than the pull toward what is safe. This is the meaning underneath the reappearance, not a simple desire to reconnect, but an unconscious movement toward a truth that has been deferred for as long as it could be.